Hello everyone, hope you're all having a great day. Today I'm going to be doing an update on all the products I have been trying recently. This is my June roundup. Lately I've been sharing a book at the end of these videos as well that I've been enjoying throughout the month, and of course I'll be showing my tea of the day at the very end. Let's get started with the makeup. Oh, sorry about, I probably should mention this red spot on my, I tend to sit here and just like scratch my skin. I'll do it here, and my skin's very reactive. I shouldn't do it. I always end up with a big, terrible, blotchy mess on my neck. So sorry if that is noticeable, but moving on with the makeup. So I finally tried the Cloud paint bronzer. That's not what that's called the Cloud Paint Seamless Cheek Color. It's a really loud motorcycle outside. In the shade Sail from Glossier. So I actually found this at TJ Maxx. I was absolutely thrilled because, like I mentioned, I've been wanting to try this for a while because this is one of those bronzers that makes it onto a lot of people's lists as being a really good pale person bronzer because it is more cool toned. I would agree with them. Also, I love how sheer it is. This is very difficult to mess up. The blush formula in the Cloud Paint is very, very pigmented. You only use a little bit, whereas this more gel version for the bronzer is very sheer and really easy to work with. I mean, look, blended out so nicely. You can see, like looking at my forehead and on my cheeks, I would say it has a natural finish. Very skin-like. It comes in plenty of different shades, but this is the lightest shade. Again, that was the shade Sail. Let's talk about lips. I had a few lip product things I was trying out this month. Let's start off with the one that I'm currently wearing. So this came in a FabFitFun box. This is the Afterglow Sensual Sensual Shine Lipstick in the shade Voyeur. Now, this particular shade, I do have to wear a lip liner with. It's just a little bit too neutral, and it looks a little funny if I don't use a lip liner. But the formula is very nice. I tend to like these kind of skinny bullet products. You can see it's got some nice shine to it, but it's not super glittery. I like it. It's not overly scented. In fact, I don't smell anything. I would say I still prefer the Revi formula to this, because if you really go in there and you're just kind of mindlessly applying, this will become kind of goopy, whereas the Revi one will not. So I do think the Revi is superior, but this is very nice, very pleasant. Let's talk about this product from Maybelline. This is the Maybelline Glaze Oil Balm. I actually haven't heard a lot of people talk about this. I picked up the shade Peach Quench, which is, I think, a very pretty shade. So you can see from the swatch, it's very balmy with a nice shine to it. Unfortunately, it has something minty in it. And I especially notice it when I smell the swatch. If I just go to smell it, I don't necessarily pick it up, but the swatch, I can smell the mint, and I'm very, very susceptible to breaking out on my lips from mint. So I tried this one time. I think I had it on my lips for 5 minutes and I had to wipe it off. Such a shame, because I do think this is so cute, and I think it was a good choice of Maybelline to come out with a product like this. But just a heads up, if you like me, have to avoid anything mentholy or minty. On the actual ingredients, because I did look at the ingredients before I bought it, it did not say mint or mint oil. It just said fragrance or perfume. However, if you like a minty product, it's not super minty, and I think it's pretty. Here's something I really have been enjoying. This is a lip liner from Makeup by Mario. This is the Ultra Suede Sculpting Lip Pencil in the shade Rich Mauve. So I like that it's a normal sharpenable pencil. I seem to enjoy this type of lip liner the most. And this is the shade. It's actually a very, very useful shade for my lip color. It really goes well with a lot of the makeup looks that I like to wear. And even though it's a sharpenable pencil, it's creamy enough where I don't have to sit there and really push hard on my lips. It applies beautifully, but at the same time, it's not as creamy as, say, the ColourPop ones, which in my experience, those can wipe off a lot easier. This one has a bit more lasting power than that. It's more than a bit more. It has more lasting power than those. So far, I have been really, really enjoying this. Let's talk about blush. I have a lot of blush to mention. Let's start with the one that I'm wearing. So this is from Loreal. This is the Lumi liquid blush. This comes in different variations. I picked up the Dewy version in the shade 601, Dewy Worth It. When I first tried this, I was horrified. I hated it. Well, I'll show you the reason why. So when you open it up, it's got a nice big doe foot on it, and I just kind of went for it. I mean, I didn't go completely nuts. I just didn't wipe any off and dotted it on my cheek, and that was way too much. This is a quite pigmented liquid blush formula, To have this look, what I ended up doing was wiping off all the excess and very gently kind of coloring a little bit on and blending it in and adding in very light layers then to get the amount that I wanted. This is very easy to overdo. So I ended up liking it. It actually does set down. It says it's a dewy blush. It's not dewy. I think it has a natural finish, even leaning to matte, actually. Maybe not completely matte. I should say natural finish. But by no means is it dewy, and I'm kind of wearing a dewy foundation. So if anything's gonna look dewy, it would be today, and it's not. But when I first tried it, I was convinced I was gonna be getting rid of it, and now I'm gonna hold on to it, now that I know how to use it. Because I do like the color. It's a very pretty, kind of uplifting, corally, peachy color. And I like the way it applied with the brush. Oh, speaking of the brush, I picked up this one from Real Techniques. I was trying to find a dupe for my favorite one from e.l.f. that has been discontinued. This is the Airbrush Stipple. So this one from Real Techniques, not nearly the same, but I was kind of looking at the size of the brushes. So the size is slightly similar. The one from Real Techniques is a little bit more dense and it's not a stipple brush, but it's honestly one of the closest ones I've found so far. And it works out really, really well for liquid blush, which makes sense because this was released in conjunction with this liquid blush from Maybelline. They call this the Sunkisser blush brush to go along with the Sunkisser liquid blush from Maybelline. So let's talk about this. I actually did apply this for you in a recent video. And this kind of has the same problem as the Maybelline, and it's actually quite pigmented and you don't need nearly as much on the doe foot. I would wipe it off personally and then go in and start. Now this line of Sunkisser liquid blushes, a lot of them are very bronzy. This one obviously is a little bit more neutral peachy, not super bronzy. This is the shade number 1, Downtown Rush. If you like peachy blush, it's actually quite a pretty, if you like a peachy neutral, it's actually quite nice. This blush has the tiniest bit of mica particles in it. I don't really notice it when it's on my skin, but it does help give it kind of that sun-kissed radiant look. I think other shades might have more sparkle in it, to be honest. I think that's actually why I picked this shade, because it looked less sparkly. Let's quick compare it to the L'Oreal in terms of shade, because I forgot to swatch this one. L'Oreal, Dewy Worth It, and Downtown Rush from Maybelline. I've ended up liking both of them. You just have to be careful. Again, they're both way more pigmented than I was expecting. Oh, and the Maybelline one does set down as well. Now we come to these little mini blushes from Jones Road. These have been on my wish list forever. They only come out with minis a couple of times a year, and they're so expensive. You know, that's when I would like to personally try them, is when they're on sale and when I can get them in a mini. I didn't want the really big tub. So far, I think my favorite one is this one called Chic. Out of the shades that I've tried, this one has the most pigment to it and looks the most blushy. So let's start with the good. These do exactly as advertised, and they add some dewiness and life back to the face, like on a no makeup day when I really don't want to wear any much makeup, but I want to wear enough just to make me look a little bit alive. These are actually perfect for that. And crazy, the very first day I wore this, I got a compliment on my blush, which I was thinking, man, I hardly did anything today. I just threw on some Miracle Balm, but someone really liked it. So they are exactly what they say that they will do. However, 3 big caveats, things to think about with these. One is the price. These are quite expensive. The second one is that these are very scented. If you like essential oily type scents, you would really enjoy this. However, if you're sensitive to scents, I would not purchase these. And the other thing, probably the number one thing I would mention, is that these will never, ever set down. I've worn them all day, and at hour probably 4, I was reaching up to scratch an itch on my cheek, and I felt like I was pushing through balm that was still top of my skin. It was still just sitting there. It never does melt in or mattify down. It stays dewy looking, and it stays actually sticky on your skin. So if you're someone who really hates that texture on your face, this wouldn't be for you. If you're someone who hates hair sticking to your face, this wouldn't be for you. However, if you have very, very dry skin, I know I have a friend with very dry skin and she absolutely loves this. This just might be your number 1 product, to be honest. Now, to be clear, I personally am not a fan of feeling very sticky all day. A lot of times when it comes to cream blushes, I'll hear people say things like, oh, that one is so sticky. And in the past, I've always been like, I don't find it to be very sticky. Well, this is one where I happen to agree. This is sticky. So it's not something that I personally could wear every day. I kind of have to be in the mood for it. But I have been testing out all 4 colors that I received and they were all pretty. They're all very pretty. And they do add that little something something, a little bit of youth back to the face. So with those caveats in mind, I do like them, but they are definitely not for everybody. Did you think I was done talking about blush? I have one more. So I had a coupon that I could use on a luxury item. So I decided to get something that's been on my wish list forever at Ulta. This is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Pillow Talk Cheek to Chic blush in the classic shade Pillow Talk. I like this. I knew I would. I tend to like Charlotte Tilbury's shades quite a bit. I do wish that like the highlightery portion in the middle wasn't quite so big. A lot of times I find myself swishing the brush just on the outside to pick up more blush versus the highlighter. This is the blush shade, which even just the blush has a little bit of glowiness to it. And then the center portion is just plain glow. So like I said, this shade works for me. It's a very pretty, glowy pink blush. I find myself feeling though the same way that I usually do when I try Charlotte Tilbury products, is that I do not think it's worth the price. I think the packaging could be nicer. Like it looks nice, but it just, everything from that I've tried from her feels so lightweight and just not luxury feeling. But I do like the actual blush. I have seen reviews before where people talk about how easily this crumbles, and it is kind of a softer blush. I could see this breaking. This honestly wouldn't be one that I would travel with lightly. If it's something that I had to have while traveling, oh boy, would I be very, very careful with this. Otherwise, I think this is one that's going to stay at home very carefully, very nice and snug in my blush drawer. Last makeup item. The mascara I was testing this month is this one from Sweed. So this is the Pro Lash Lift Mascara. So this is the one that has just a comb on one side. Otherwise, it doesn't have bristles around the other edges. So this has a problem where it comes out with way too much product on the wand. So every single time I wipe it off very, very carefully before I even use it at all. This also has the thing where sometimes my lashes look amazing and other times it's just a disaster and I'm going in with like a lash separator and usually it's just because I didn't get enough off the wand. If I go in with it loaded, it's just a mess. That being said, the little comb is actually really nice to get to the very base of your lashes, really wiggle in there and create long separated lashes. Today, I feel like my lashes look pretty nice, especially this side, but not honestly spectacular. There have been 1 or 2 times I tried it where my lashes looked incredible. So this for me is a very kind of finicky mascara that I can't trust to always look the same. On its best days, my lashes are super, super elongated and it looks like a really, really dramatic mascara. Other times it's just kind of you know? So this is one that came in a FabFitFun box. Otherwise, I don't think I would have ever had the chance to try this. This is quite an expensive mascara. I think it's a $30 mascara. If I'm gonna spend $30 on a mascara, I would buy the Lancome or even the Thrive. So while I appreciate the chance to try it from my subscription box, this isn't one I don't think I will get again. I'm gonna keep using it throughout its shelf life, and I will update you, as soon as I get this into the empties. But for now, I'm thinking this was just okay. That's all the makeup I wanted to share this time. Now for a book recommendation. This was actually one that I read back in May, and May was a really, really good reading month for me. And as I stated before, I'm very, very picky with giving away 5 stars. For me, 5 stars is all about the enjoyment level, and my goodness gracious, I loved Project Hail Mary from Andy Weir. I even got it in a paperback, which I tend to be quite careful with the books that I buy because I have limited space. Well, this is one that I know I'm going to want to reread, so I had to pick this up. This is one that when you go into it, it's really good to know as little as possible about the story. It's about a man who wakes up on a spaceship. He has no idea who he is, why he's on the spaceship. Everyone else on the spaceship is dead. He is by himself. So it's one of those stories where as he slowly regains his memories, you are finding out along with him just what the heck is going on. And it is so much more than I expected. Yes, this is a sci-fi space story, but it's also about friendship and it's about nerds saving the world, which that has to be one of my favorite plot devices ever. Trope. I think it comes from reading way too much like YA dystopian fiction in like the 2010 era, where at that time where that was like really, really popular, and it was always a 17-year-old girl saving the world and they all had the same personality. So reading about the middle-aged smart people saving the world, I loved it. Oh, before I go, I forgot to mention, one of my friends who is an avid audiobook listener said that this was incredible on audio, and I keep seeing that in reviews as well. So if you're an audiobook listener and you haven't tried this one, it might be a good one. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. This is always where I share my tea of the day. Today I'm drinking Big Red Robe Wu Yi Oolong from Verdant Tea. Big Red Robe is a pretty popular variation of oolong. It always has a very pleasant roasty taste. I've had some that even remind me slightly bready tasting sometimes. This one has beautiful roasted twisty leaves, and I'm going to put on the screen a screenshot of their tasting notes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you again very soon in the next one. Bye.